हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गायै नमः। ओम श्री राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। शङ्करं परमानन्दं ब्रह्मनिष्ठं यतीश्वरं भाष्यभ्रान्तिहरं वन्दे शुद्धज्ञानैकबोधकम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। ओम नमः शिवाय। 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 नमः पार्वती पतये। हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। A very happy Shri Krishna Janmashtami to you all. Today we will remember Bhagavan Sri Krishna, his life, his teaching, his Swarupa, and offer our pranams to Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So we begin with a bhajan dedicated to Sri Krishna. Krishna Krishna Mukunda Janardana, Krishna Krishna Mukunda Janardana, Krishna Govinda Narayana Hare, Krishna Govinda Narayana Hare, Achyutananta Govinda Madhava, Achyutananta Govinda Madhava, Krishna Govinda Narayana Hare, Krishna Krishna Mukunda Janardana, Krishna Krishna Mukunda Janardana, Krishna Govinda Narayana Hare, Krishna Govinda Narayana Hare, Krishna Govinda Narayana Hare. बोलिए श्री वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय. हरि ओम हरि ओम. Bhagavan Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he has said that yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata tadvyutthanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijami aham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So whenever there is decline in dharma and rise in adharma, I will take avatar to protect all those who are good, who are following the path of dharma, and destroy those who are adharmic, and establish dharma again in this world. So Bhagavan had taken avatar more than 5,000 years ago as Sri Krishna. As Sri Krishna, Bhagavan not only protected.
I didn't catch that. Could you try again?
Not only protected all those who were good, but Bhagavan also destroyed a lot of adharmic people. Even during the great Mahabharata war, a lot of adharmic entities were destroyed, and Bhagavan established dharma not only through his life but also through his teachings. Bhagavan taught many who came in contact with him. Even the gopis, his own parents, his other friend circles, Uddhava, Bhishma Pitamaha, Vidhur, and also the Pandavas, Draupadi, And we all know how he taught Arjuna himself. The teachings which Bhagavan gave to Arjuna is very famous, and it is the very sar of the entire teachings given in the Vedas. So if you want to see Bhagavan Sri Krishna, if you want to have his darshan, where can we have his darshan? How can we have his darshan? Actually, in order to have Bhagavan's darshan, what is required is to develop a proper vision, to see the presence of Bhagavan Sri Krishna everywhere. Just like the vision with the gopis they had, and many of his devotees they had. So wherever they looked, they could feel and see the presence of Sri Krishna everywhere. In Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says that I pervade this whole world. I am present in this world. So though Bhagavan manifested as Krishna in Dwapar Yuga, but he is present even now, all the time, in everything. What is required is to develop that vision. In Ramcharitamanas also, Tulsidas ji, he says that Hari Vyapak Sarvatra Samana Premate Pragat Hoi Mai Jana. That Bhagavan is present everywhere equally. But his presence is not felt if we don't have that vision, if we don't have that love. When we have sincere love for Ishvara, when we have sincere love for Bhagavan, we will be able to see his presence in the whole world. Not only in the world, but within our own body, our own mind, in every experience, in every object, in every time, in every space, they will be able to see the presence of Ishvara, feel the presence of Ishvara. So it's very important that we develop that vision. And that we can develop by listening to the advice given to Arjuna in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. In fact, the whole Bhagavad Gita is meant to transform our vision. It begins with the words of Bhagavan Sri Krishna in the first chapter. A hidden, mysterious words are there in the first chapter of Gita, where Bhagavan tells Arjuna, Ki pashyetan samavetan kuruniti. When Arjuna requested Bhagavan to bring his chariot in between the two armies, Arjuna said, I want to see who has assembled here to fight with me. Who are following this path of adharma and want to fight against dharma. I want to see them. He had a lot of this anger against Duryodhana and against so many other people who had disturbed them, harmed them in some way or other. So with lot of anger, disturbance, Arjuna requested Bhagwan that I want to see. Bhagwan said, okay, you see. He brought the chariot in between the two armies and he said, okay, Pashya etan samavetan kuru niti. And when Arjuna saw in front of him Bhishma Pitamaha, Dronacharya, his teachers, his cousins, his brothers, his uncles, his grandfathers, Arjuna got thoroughly confused. And he just sat there giving up his bow and arrows and told Bhagavan Sri Krishna that I don't want to fight this war. I am totally confused. How can I fight with my own people? How can I fight with Bhishma Pitamaha, with Dronacharya? They are most worshipful. So he was thoroughly confused. And that confusion led to a lot of sorrow, dejection, and inactivity. He just gave up his Purushartha. And to such a Arjuna, Bhagwan taught him this Bhagavad Gita. He gave him a divine vision. In the 11th chapter, when Arjuna requested Bhagwan that please I want to see your Vishwarup, Bhagwan says, I am always there, I am always present. But what is missing in you is the divine vision. So he gave Arjuna a divine vision through which Arjuna could see the grand Vishwarup of Bhagwan. Just as when we go to see a 3D movie, but without the proper glasses, we are unable to really see the three-dimensional effect. But when we get those glasses, wear them, then we see the beautiful effect of the three dimension. Similarly, Ishvara is present, but what we experience is our own levels, our own life. What we experience is joy, sorrow, pain, fear, trouble. This world is also seen as inert, insentient, changing. We don't see the presence of Ishvara. So with the vision given to us in Bhagavad Gita, we will be able to see the presence of Ishvara everywhere. Many years ago, I had given a talk on this subject, Sri Krishna as Bhagavad Gita. The talk was then printed in a book form, I think somewhere in October 2007. This was printed first. So today, I will briefly summarize what I spoke that day. See, as I said, if we want to have darshan of Bhagwan, we have to have that vision by which we can see him everywhere. We can not only see Bhagwan in the world, but we can also see Bhagwan in his words, in his teachings. So we can see the presence of Bhagwan in Srimad Bhagavat Puran, and we can see the presence of Bhagwan in Srimad Bhagavad Gita also. So the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita are like the body, the form of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. When we think of Bhagavan Sri Krishna, when we read his descriptions in the scriptures, he is presented as most attractive. The word Krishna not only means that he was dark in complexion, like the rain clouds, but Krishna also means one who is most attractive. Akarshanat Krishna, one who attracts everyone. Krishna is to attract everyone as a child also. And as he was growing, people were so fascinated by his form, his very presence. Not only the gopis and the gopas were attracted towards him, but even the animals were fascinated by Bhagavan Sri Krishna. The cows, the other animals, even the trees and plants, they were attracted towards Krishna. Because Krishna is that supreme Brahma himself. Krishna is Sakshat Brahma. Krishna is Sakshat Bhagwan. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. And that Bhagwan is our own inner self, Atma. And Atma is dearest to everyone. In the Upanishads also it is said, Atmastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Everything is dear to us because of that love for our own self. So Bhagwan's form, we can meditate by imagining his beautiful form in our mind. And we can also meditate on his form taking the help of Bhagavad Gita. So here the 18 chapters are like the 18 different parts of Bhagwan's beautiful form, beautiful body. It begins with the first chapter, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, wherein Arjuna expresses his sorrow, his pain to his dear friend Sri Krishna. Because Arjuna had that beautiful relationship with Krishna, he considered him his very dear friend. Arjuna was extremely attached to Bhagavan Sri Krishna, all the time thinking about him, dreaming about him, talking about him. Therefore, Bhagavan in Gita calls Arjuna his friend as well as his devotee. Bhaktosi me sakha cheti. And because of this relationship, Arjuna could express everything very, very frankly to Sri Krishna in the first chapter, telling him that how he is feeling so confused and how his body is not helping him. He's shaking. He's perspiring. He can't even hold the bow and the arrow in his hands. He just drops everything and says that I don't want to fight. I'm totally confused. I don't know what is right, what is wrong. So he surrenders to Bhagavan Sri Krishna. He surrenders to Bhagavan not only as his friend, but he also surrenders to Krishna, considering himself as the disciple and Krishna as his teacher. He says, please teach me, Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. Please teach me what is right, what is wrong. I am surrendering to you. So this beautiful relationship is the first thing which we have to remember and recognize and develop with Sri Krishna. The relationship of friendship, the relationship of a disciple and a teacher, a relationship of a beloved, different type of relationship we can have with Krishna, considering him as our parents or considering him as our child or a lover or a friend or teacher or a master. We can develop that relationship and surrender to him. Be a dust on the feet of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And that is depicted in the first chapter of Gita. So the first chapter of Gita is like Bhagavan Sri Krishna's dust, which we have to become. We have to just drop our ego, drop our ahankar, and just become shunya, become totally empty, and be one with Krishna, total surrender. Then he will take care of us. When Arjuna surrenders to Krishna, he starts the teaching. The second chapter is like Bhagavan's feet, which is also in Sanskrit called Pada, which also means the Pada, the supreme goal, which we have to attain. Actually, the supreme goal which we have to attain, mentioned in all the Shastras, is to attain Bhagavan himself, to attain Ishvara, to attain that God realization, which itself is called self-realization, which itself is called moksha, which is called brahmanubhuti, which is also called aparoksha anubhuti. Thinking ourselves as different, as separate from Ishvara, separate from Bhagavan, causes all sorrow, pain, fear, and different types of sufferings in our life. So the second chapter, Bhagavan reveals that supreme goal. He says, hey Arjuna, you should first know who you really are. You are looking at all these people who have assembled here from the standpoint of your body. And when you look through your body, you see them as your relatives, as your uncles, your guru, your cousins. But you are not your body. You don't look at them through the body standpoint. You are someone much deeper than the body. You are that Atma, which is neither born nor does it die. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. That even if the body gets destroyed, you are not destroyed. You are that Shuddha Atma. Realize that, look at everything from that standpoint. Shift your attention from your body to your own self. Develop that total paradigm shift. And the same situation which you are experiencing as sorrow will get transformed into supreme bliss. And that is the goal which we have to reach. And one who has attained this goal is called Sthita Prajna, one who is well established in that Atma. So Bhagavan also reveals the Sthita Prajna Lakshana in the second chapter of Gita, the goal which we have to attain. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmannevatmana tushtaha sthita prajnastadochyate. So the second chapter are like the feet of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So when you meditate on Bhagavan's feet, you also meditate on that feet as the ultimate goal, moksha, sthita prajna. But for that we have to put forth effort, we have to work, we have to start moving. So we start moving, we have movement in our body. When we move our feet, that movement starts with the movement of our ankles. So that ankles of Bhagavan Sri Krishna is represented by the third chapter of Gita, which teaches us how to take the first step in our spiritual journey, and that is the path of Karma Yoga. We have to embark on the path of Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is to fulfill all our responsibilities in this world towards our own self, towards our family, towards the society, towards the devatas, towards the Rishi Munis, towards the nation, towards the world. Fulfill all the responsibilities, all your responsibilities as a worship of that Ishvara. And when we do this with proper attitude, of total detachment and free from all attachment, keeping the mind balanced, samatvam yoga uchyate, yoga karma sukhaushalam. Then our mind starts becoming more and more pure. We start moving towards our supreme goal of enlightenment. But to gain some more speed in our movement, Along with Karma Yoga, we should also practice Upasana. And Upasana is mentioned in the 4th chapter of Gita. So the 4th chapter of Gita are like the knees of Bhagwan, gives gati to our movement on this path, gives us speed. So Upasana is to imagine divinity in everything in this world. We can begin by considering invoking that divinity in an idol, in a murti. So everyone knows this murti is made up of stone, though it is carved very beautifully. But we know that it is just a stone. But to invoke the presence of Ishvara in that stone and to worship it is what is called Upasana. So we begin with a small idol and then slowly increase our vision to consider this whole world as the image, as the form of Ishvara. Ashtamurti Bhrad Deva Pujanam. Even in Dakshinamurti Stotram we had seen Bhoram Bhasya Nalo Nilom Baramahar Nato Himanshu Pumam. The Ashtamurti of Bhagwan, the Pancha Mahabhut, the sun, the moon, and all the beings are the expression, the form of Ishvara. So before we can understand the presence of Ishvara in the whole world, we can actually experience. We have to visualize the presence of Ishvara. And that is what is the idea behind Upasana. Visualize the presence of Ishvara in every objects of this world, in the whole world. So 4th chapter, Bhagavan talks about various types of upasanas which help us. And also in the 4th chapter, Bhagavan tells us that you should go to a teacher and learn about this Supreme Brahma from the teacher. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. So go to a teacher, learn from the teacher. The teacher will teach you about that Supreme Self. And once we gain that knowledge, intellectual appreciation of our own self as not different from that Brahma, which is the very source of this entire creation, which alone expresses as this creation, who is that Supreme Bhagwan only, Paramatma, Sri Krishna. So once we gain intellectual appreciation of this divine truth, we have to prepare for meditation. And that preparation for meditation is by becoming detached from all our activities and all our other pursuits of life. Develop that vairagya towards all other pursuits of life. Pleasures, wealth, position, name, fame, all these are distractions on our path towards enlightenment. We perform various types of activities to fulfill our desires. So we have to drop all these activities. And that itself is indicated as karma sannyas. And that is taught in the 5th chapter of Gita. So 5th chapter is like the hips of Bhagwan. Just like our hips, we are ready to sit, ready to meditate. So 5th chapter, Karma Sannyasa Yoga, was taught to Arjuna to make him ready for meditation. And in the 6th chapter, Bhagwan teaches the path of meditation, the final path to attain the direct experience of our own Supreme Self, which is so mysterious, so very secret, that even though it is present, we are unable to see it. We can experience it only by dropping all our attachments and dropping all the known, and finally dropping the mind, the intellect, the ahankar also, and gaining that abidance in our own self. So yato yato nishcharati manaschanchalamastheram tatastato niyamye tada atmani eva vasham nayet. Wherever the mind runs, catch hold of that mind and place it in that Supreme Self. So the 6th chapter is like the Guhya Bhaga, the generative organ of Bhagwan, which is the top secret, mysterious, representing the supreme nature of that Brahma. But we should not consider Bhagwan only present in our own antakarana. He is present everywhere. So when we meditate, we close our eyes and see the presence of Ishvara in our own antakarana. But we can't remain all the time with our eyes closed. We have to open our eyes. And when we open our eyes, we see this world in front of us. We see different people, we see different objects. So our meditation should continue with our eyes open also. And for that, we should know that everything in this world is the expression of the Supreme Brahma alone. And that is presented in the 7th chapter. Bhagwan tells Arjuna that this whole world is my Prakriti only. My para and apara Prakriti. Through my para and apara Prakriti, I alone am expressing as this world, and I alone am expressing as all the beings of this world. So the 7th chapter is like the navel of Bhagwan, which holds the whole secret of this world. In the 8th chapter, now I will have to hurry a little bit. In the 8th chapter, Bhagwan reveals the twofold path which takes us towards the higher world and brings us back into this world Or when we follow the path of Upasana, it takes us to those worlds like Brahmalok from where we can gain moksha. So the results of various types of karma and Upasana are mentioned in the 8th chapter, which is like the stomach of Bhagwan. And in the 9th chapter, Bhagwan reveals his bhakti marga. He says, if you develop that sincere love for me, I will take care of you. I will help you on this path. Ananyashchintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. I will take care of all your needs when you dedicate yourself to thinking about me, meditating on me. I will look after you. You don't have to worry. So the 9th chapter is like the heart of Bhagwan. In the 10th chapter, Bhagwan shows Arjuna his various vibhutis. He says that you can meditate on taking any aspect of this world. You can meditate on me by taking help of the Himalayan mountains, or you can look at Gangaji and remember me, or look at the moon and remember me, look at the sun and remember me, look at the waters and remember me, look at the fragrance of this earth and remember me. You can take, because all these are my vibhutis only. All of them will remind you of me. So Bhagwan's vibhutis are like the Bhagwan's ornaments, which add beauty to Bhagwan. And in the 11th chapter, Bhagwan showed Arjuna his Vishwarupa, embracing the entire cosmos in himself. Arjuna could see all beings. He could see the past, present, and future. He could see everything, all the devatas in that wonderful form of Ishvara as Vishwarupa, which are like the arms of Bhagwan, which embraces the whole world. Then the 12th chapter, which reveals the Bhakti Marga in detail, also revealing the characteristic of Bhagwan's Bhaktas, is like the smile on Bhagwan's face, the beautiful smile on Sri Krishna's face is like the 12th chapter. The 13th chapter, which talks about Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Kshetrajnam chapimam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata. Bhagwan says, I am the Kshetrajna in all the bodies. I am the one who is experiencing through all the bodies. I am the eye in all the eyes of this world. I am the ear of ears. I am the prana of pranas. So the 13th chapter are like the eyes of Bhagwan. In the 14th chapter, Bhagwan talks about the 3 gunas and how to overcome these 3 gunas and how these 3 gunas expresses as different emotions, different tendencies in us. The sattva gun, the rajo gun, the tamo gun. The tamo gun and rajo gun, they bind us. But the sattva gun help us to become free of this bondage. These 3 gunas are the expressions of Bhagwan's Shakti called Maya. So with the help of Bhagwan's Shakti, we can become free of this samsara also. So this 14th chapter are like the eyebrows of Bhagwan. And in the 15th chapter, Bhagwan summarizes the entire teaching given in the Bhagavad Gita. So the 15th chapter is like the tilaka on Bhagwan's forehead. In the 16th chapter, Bhagwan talks about the Daivi and Asuri Sampatti, which is there in every one of us. We have the Asura also in us, and the Devtas are also there in us. We are potentially very bad and we are potentially very good. Depends on satsang, depends on sang. If we have satsang, we can become good. If we have dutsanga, we can become bad. Tulsidas ji gives example of the dust. When it comes in contact with water, it becomes mud. And when the dust comes in contact with air, it rises up in the sky. The dust remaining same. The contact with water takes it down. Contact with air, it lifts it up. Similarly, we have good and bad in us. If we take the company of those who are negative in this world, we also become negative. Therefore, Naradji also says, Dussangas sarvatha eva tejyaha. But when we take the company of the good, we rise. And when we take the help of the scriptures, we rise. So, tasmat shastram pramanante karya karya vyavasthito. So, 16th chapter tells us that you take support of the Shastras and those who know the Shastras to rise, to evolve in this world. Therefore, the 16th chapter are like the years of Bhagwan. The 17th chapter gives briefly the day-to-day sadhana which we should do. Yajna, dana, tapa, sadhana. When we do regularly, our antakarana becomes more and more pure. Because our all impurities can be broadly classified into three, as kama, krodha and lobha. And to overcome kama, krodha, lobha, we have to do this threefold sadhana of yajna, dana and tapas. So that is presented very beautifully in the 17th chapter, which are like the beautiful hairs of Bhagwan, the long curly hairs. Therefore, Bhagwan was also called Rishikesh. He used to have that long hair, which is to tie behind. So, curly locks of Bhagwan. And then the 18th chapter is like the crowning glory. Bhagwan not only summarizes the entire Bhagavad Gita, but he also he gives the ultimate advice. He says that if everything is difficult for you, you just with faith and with love, you surrender to me and I will take care of you. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja ahantva sarva papebhyah mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. I will release you from all bondage. You just surrender to me. So in this way, we can see the presence of Bhagavan Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. And we can, through Bhagavad Gita, we can get inspiration and we can, with that inspiration, we can move enthusiastically on this path and attain that goal of self-realization, to see the presence of Bhagavan Sri Krishna everywhere. So today we are celebrating Bhagavan Sri Krishna Jayanti all over the world. He is not only the what you call the beautiful child of Vrindavan, Gokul. But Bhagavan Krishna is also Jagat Guru. We remember his childhood pranks and all his leelas, but Bhagavan is also Jagat Guru. So we remember Bhagavan and offer our gratitude, offer our love, devotion, and surrender to Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So we'll conclude by taking Bhagavan's name and developing that attitude of Sharanagati to Bhagavan. Okay? So please bring Bhagavan's image in your mind and just chant this mantra along with me. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, 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 Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Boli Shri Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai, Krishna Kanhaiya Lal Ki Jai. We'll conclude with a prayer. May Bhagwan's Kripa be upon all of us. May he remove all the impurities from our antakarana. May he remove all sorrows, pain, conflicts from this world. And may he bless the entire world. We'll conclude with a prayer. And we will meet again on Monday, same time, 12 to 1. And we will begin with our study of the most beautiful Upanishad, the Chandogya Upanishad. So till then, you take care, be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy, do your work, do your sadhana. And we will meet again on Monday. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram, 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 Jaya Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram. Boli Syav Ramchandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Asato ma Satgamaya, Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Mritangamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.